Kyle Lovie-Smith gave his former team a gift, the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft is going to Chicago. But Chicago already has a quarterback, right? Justin Fields. So what if I played this scenario out there? You have Bryce Young on the board. Another team calls. They're offering multiple first-round picks for Justin Fields. You're the Bears GM. What do you do?
No, you don't. You don't trade Justin Fields for anything. It's that old Family Guy meme of the mystery box. It's like the mystery box could be a star quarter. It could be anything. It could be a star quarterback. No, no, no. You keep Justin Fields and you build around Justin Fields because.
Well, is Justin Fields a star quarterback?
Yes. Justin Fields was so freaking good this year. I'm not saying he's going to be like the next Josh Allen or anything, but like he's going to be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 years and be a really, really good quarterback.
But counter, do you think that Bryce Young is going to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL?
Yes.
Do you think both of them are going to be good? Who's going to be better? Someone's got to be better.
Doesn't matter. Keep the certainty of Justin Fields. Like, I don't care.
Is Justin Fields a certainty? You lost games when he was healthy and looking awesome.
No, I don't care about the wins and losses this year. Those were all beneficial for the Bears. No, Justin Fields does ridiculously stupid, fun things. Like if Justin Fields' ceiling is being like Dak Prescott light, like Bryce Young could not be good enough where you would make me make that bet on giving up Justin Fields to keep Bryce Young. I have seen enough from Justin Fields to know that guy is going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL for the next 10 years. I have seen enough. And given the fact that he was like the number 2 prospect in his draft class and the number 2 quarterback coming out of high school, I've seen enough to know that dude is going to be awesome for the next 10 years. Bryce Young could not be good enough. I mean, unless he becomes Patrick Mahomes, but you're not betting on that. No, like Bryce Young cannot be good enough where I would take the risk on giving up Justin Fields.
Well, you compare Justin Fields to Dak Prescott. What if Bryce Young is better than Dak Prescott?
I'm saying that the gamble on that is not worth it. I'm saying that you keep Justin Fields and you build around Justin Fields because Justin Fields could be better. He has shown evidence with a not great team that Justin Fields can be a quarterback that puts up really good numbers and a quarterback that potentially rushes for 1,000 yards in a season. Like I have seen the evidence and I know Justin Fields. Again, you can freezing cold take whatever. I know Justin Fields is going to be without question the best quarterback in the history of the Bears franchise, but that's a really low bar to hit. That's Jay Cutler. So I'm going to say he is going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL for 10 to 15 years. And you can't make me give that up. Not when
3 first-round picks.
Well, if I'm doing 3 first-round picks, I'll give you the number 1 pick in the draft. I would rather trade the number 1 pick in the draft than trade Justin Fields.
Okay, well, that establishes a good baseline for the Bears. Justin Fields, untouchable. Fine, he's my franchise guy. Okay, well, let's move into that next part. You mentioned the ability to trade out of the number 1 overall pick. So what would you put the chances of the Bears actually drafting at number 1? What are the odds?
That's a good question. Because if they really like Will Anderson or they really like Jalen Carter, I'm not going to crush on them for saying they shouldn't. At the same time, so many teams would pay to jump the Texans to get Bryce Young. So yeah, I would put it at, say, and again, I have no idea what the answer is, but I'm saying like playing the odds on this and not knowing what the Bears actually want to do, I would say 35% chance they use the number 1 pick.
So let's look at that top 4, top 5 of the NFL draft, right? So if the Bears do trade out of that number 1 overall pick, then we know the team that is trading up for number 1 is trading up for a quarterback. Whether that be Stroud, Young, or Levis, they're trading up for a quarterback. That's undisputable. Then you go to the Texans. They're obviously drafting a quarterback. So the first 2 draft picks are quarterbacks. I believe the Cardinals are 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Cardinals are 3. Yes.
Cardinals will not draft a quarterback. Okay, well, then that's where you risk potentially losing out on a Will Anderson if you're the Bears, if that's someone that you really look at and think that you can roll with. Seattle is 5, I want to say, correct?
Seattle is 5, and 4 is the Colts.
4 is the Colts. It feels like the Colts are also going to draft a quarterback, right? So at 5, with Seattle might have got the screws as far as potentially drafting a quarterback out of this situation unless they want to move up. So Seattle might be the one for the Chicago Bears to really push on, especially because they have multiple draft picks from the Russell Wilson deal. Maybe that's their opportunity to trade back into getting their franchise quarterback. And if you drop to 5, you mentioned you still have the possibility to get a top tier edge rusher or defensive talent, or maybe build up your offensive line. We know that was an issue too for Justin Fields. Maybe get a definitive number 1 receiver.
I was going to say you could draft Quentin Johnson.
Yes, that's all on the table for the Bears. So that's what the beauty of it is, them getting the number 1 overall pick. That's why it's so powerful what they were able to have happen for them when the Houston Texans ended up winning that game. Now, the Texans may still end up getting their guy because the Bears may do something that the Texans weren't planning on, but the ability to control your own destiny at the number 1 overall pick is what the Bears gained from the Texans winning that game. It's like I go back to 2019 when the Niners drafted Nick Bosa. They kind of got lucky that Kyler Murray was going to go number 1 overall pick regardless. So Bosa was going to fall to them. That's kind of like what the Bears could kind of have the luxury of now that they're number 1 overall pick. The draft starts whenever they say it wants to start. The clock is on them whenever they want it to be on them.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of put the 35 there is like, if they think that Will Anderson is the next Nick Bosa, or he's going to be their Nick Bosa, or they think that Jalen Carter is going to be their JJ Watt, if they feel confident in that, I don't think there's a number of draft picks you could pay to give that up. Everyone agrees that they're 2 universally great players being compared to Myles Garrett's and Nick Bosa's and all the way on down. Like, everyone agrees that they're the 2 best players in the draft class. And if they're that special caliber of player, I'm not sure there's a number of draft picks that you can pay me to give that up. At the same time, I would recommend that they do a situation where they get teams bidding against each other, because again, that number 1 pick doesn't inherently have a value. It's what the value of the number 1 pick is, whatever someone is willing to pay for it. So again, my recommendation is get the Texans on the phone, get the Colts on the phone, get the Seahawks on the phone, even get the Raiders on the phone, and just make them start bidding against each other for the number 1 pick. And maybe you can drive up the price. You certainly have a number of bidders. And again, you can get one of those really good players.
Is there a dark horse team that we're not thinking of that might want to jump into this? Like, I look at Atlanta, for example, right? Atlanta, they had that 6-7 wins to finish the season. They've been kind of middle of the first. They haven't had the opportunity to really get up and get their guy. The Titans have been talked about as far as drafting a quarterback. They're sitting in the teens. Which one of those teams do you think would probably be most interested in moving that far up? Because I think if they were to do it, they'd have to trade at minimum, looking at the Trey Lance deal, right? Using the Trey Lance deal as a starting point, 3 first-round picks seems to be the going price to move up to, at minimum, top 3. Probably 4 or maybe 3 and a conditional second or something of that nature might need to be what gets it done to move up to number 1 if you're the Bears. And again, powerful position for Ryan Poles and the Bears front office here.
Well, I think you always, at the end of the day, they'll take whatever the best offer is. And if they think that keeping the number 1 pick is better than whatever the best offer is, then maybe they'll go ahead and pick Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, whoever it ends up being. But I mean, it's like you said, man, those teams can get in the game. Like, when the Rams took Jared Goff, they jumped from 15 to 1. So like, it's not impossible to be done. It's just like, what are you going to give up in order to get there? Are you going to give up 2 years worth of draft picks in order to get that number 1 pick? Are you going to give up 2 firsts and 2 seconds? Are you going to give up 3 firsts and another pick? Are you going to give up a player in a pick? Like, if you're the Titans, you've got players, but you don't necessarily have premium picks. So like, I don't know, man, like, it's whatever you can give up to get up there. And again, the Bears should take all sorts of calls on that pick and just make people bid against each other. Cause if people are really that desperate to get Bryce Young, they could get a haul for that draft pick.
So to reiterate the points, you said Justin Fields untouchable, filled all calls. That's what the Chicago Bears should do coming into draft season. What about you, internet GMs? What about you in the comment section? Do you think that you should put the untouchable tag on Justin Fields? Do you think you should be fielding calls of all varieties for that number 1 overall draft pick for the Chicago Bears? Or do you think that they should actually use the draft pick? Let us know in the comment section down below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on all our social medias at SlimBusterPod, at SlimBuster Podcasts. From Juju and Kyle, stay safe, happy, and healthy. We will see you next time.